Hey, tonight we're diving into the real Wild West, not the Hollywood version with its heroic cowboys and dramatic showdowns, but the gritty, dangerous reality where survival was never guaranteed. You might think you're tough enough to handle it, but trust me, there's a reason they called it wild. If you're enjoying these stories, I'd really appreciate a quick like or even a subscribe. It helps more than you know. I'm always curious where you all are listening from, so drop a comment with your location and what time it is. They're seeing our little global community connect through these stories now. Dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. We're going to explore why you might not survive even a single day in the untamed American frontier. Hey there, history lovers in Chicago, Vancouver, Manchester, and beyond, aged 16 to 40, tucked under your cozy blankets, ready for a bedtime tale that'll seize your heart and haunt your dreams. Dim the lights until they're a faint glow. Let a fan's soft hum weave a soothing backdrop, and step with me into the raw, unforgiving Wild West of the 1870s. This isn't the Hollywood frontier with its swaggering cowboys and polished shootouts. No, this is a world of dirt, cold, and creeping dread, where survival was a daily gamble, and sleep was no refuge, but a battle against a land that could break you before dawn. I'm your guide, waking in a creaky Denver cabin, my pulse racing, as I face a day that demands everything. With miles, degrees, Fahrenheit, and dollars you'll recognize, I'll pull you into a mystery. How did anyone endure a single day out here? Feel the sting of frost, the ache of hunger, the weight of fear, and let this story hook you, shock you, and urge you to follow until the truth unfolds. Stay with me, you curious souls in your safe homes, and discover the secrets of a world where every night was a test and every morning a miracle. My eyes snap open, the cold biting like a blade through the thin wool blanket draped over me. It's maybe 15 degrees Fahrenheit in this Denver cabin, the kind of chill that claws at your bones, turning your breath into ghostly curls that vanish in the pre-dawn gloom. The year's somewhere in the 1870s, and I'm lying on a mattress if you can call it that, a French-thick sack of brittle corn husks that jab my ribs like tiny knives. Fleas skitter across my skin, their bites a fiery itch I can't escape, a torment woven into every night. A settler down the trail once grumbled, bugs so thick you could sweep 'em up with a broom, and as I scratch my arm, raw and stinging, I feel the truth of it. You, sinking into your 12-inch memory foam bed in Chicago, the room a perfect 70 degrees Fahrenheit, maybe a humidifier whispering softly, can't imagine a sleep so restless, where your own bed betrays you with every turn. The smell hits next, a gut punch of filth that makes my eyes water, a rancid blend of unwashed bodies, mine included. Since a bathus, a monthly luxury horse dung from the stable 50 feet away, sharp as vinegar, and the sour, choking stink of the outhouse just 20 yards from my door. Waters too precious to waste on washing, every drop's hauled in 5-gallon buckets, each weighing 40 pounds, from a stream 3 miles down a rocky trail. Yesterday, I made that trek, my shoulders screaming with every step, boots slipping on frost-slick stones, the buckets sloshing as I stumbled over roots. You, sipping coffee in Vancouver or Manchester, grabbing a bottle from a fridge, can't Fathom choosing between drinking and bathing. But out here, it's a grim reality that shapes every morning. The air's thick with the reek of survival, and as I lie here, my heart thuds, wondering what this day will demand of a body already worn thin. My muscles ache, a deep, grinding pain from yesterday's labor. 14 hours of splitting 100 pounds of firewood with a 10-pound axe, each swing sending shockwaves through my arms, or dragging a 60-pound iron plow through Colorado's stubborn soil, the earth fighting me like a living thing. My back's already hunched, hands calloused like leather. Though I'm barely 30, you might hit the gym for an hour in Toronto, proud of your effort, maybe posting it online. Out here, there's no rest day, no ergonomic tools, just a body pushed until it threatens to break. I roll off the mattress, bare feet hitting the dirt floor, packed hard as stone, but cold enough to make me wince. The fireplace holds only gray embers. I let it die overnight to save wood. A cord costing $5, enough to buy a week's worth of flour. Back home, you'd flick a switch for heat, maybe adjust a thermostat. Here, I weigh warmth against the risk of a spark, turning this 12 by 12-foot shack to ash, with no fire department within 50 miles. A blaze could leave me with nothing but the rough cotton shirt on my back. A loss I can't afford. Outside, a coyote's howl slices the silence. Maybe 200 yards off, sharp and eerie, curling my stomach into knots. I pause, breath catching, and shake out my boots before pulling them on, a habit born of fear after a neighbor in Cheyenne told me about a rattlesnake curled in his shoe one morning, its bite nearly costing him a leg. Sleep here isn't a gentle drift into dreams. It's a gamble, your ears straining for every creak, every rustle, wondering if it's a wolf, a bear, or an outlaw creeping through the dark. Last night, I woke to a scratching sound, heart pounding. As I grabbed the rifle by my bed, its barrel cold against my palm. It was just a branch scraping the roof, but out here, you don't take chances. You, tucked in your safe apartment in Manchester, might fear a power outage or a noisy neighbor. I fear the night itself, alive with threats I can't see, each one whispering, "Will you make it to dawn?" Sleep's rhythm here is strange. Not the single stretch, you know, but broken into pieces. What they call biphasic sleep. A first sleep of 3 or 4 hours after the sun sets. Then a wakeful hour or 2, followed by a second sleep until dawn. Last night, in that quiet middle hour, I sat by the flicker of a tallow candle I'd crafted myself. Its greasy light barely cutting the dark, casting jagged shadows on the log walls. Making that candle was no small feat, rendering animal fat into wax took hours, my hands slick with grease, the smell sharp and sour, like something rotting in the heat. Each candle, worth 10 cents, burns fast, and I guarded it like gold, knowing a stray spark could ignite the dry logs around me, turning my home to cinders. I used that time to mend a torn shirt, my fingers clumsy with a needle, the stitches uneven. In the dim glow, each prick a reminder of the fragility of this life. You might scroll your phone at midnight, losing yourself in a screen's blue light, maybe watching a reel or texting a friend. I stitched in near darkness, ears pricked for the snap of a twig or the low growl of a predator, heart racing at every unknown sound. That wakeful hour wasn't restful, was a moment to breathe, to brace for the next day's fight. A pause in a world that offers no mercy. My stomach growls, a hollow ache that claws at my insides, pulling me to the present. I stumble to the fireplace, coaxing embers back to life with a few sticks, the wood crackling as I set a tin pot to boil. Breakfast is meager. Beans, maybe 400 calories, scooped onto a plate with a biscuit so hard it could crack a tooth, baked from flour that cost 50 cents a sack. The coffee's bitter, brewed from grounds I bought for 25 cents a pound, nothing like the creamy latte you'd sip in a Chicago cafe, maybe with a pastry on the side. I chew slowly, my jaw aching, knowing this meal must fuel another day of hauling water, mending fences, or wrestling with the plow. Fresh fruits, a fantasy an apple at the general store costs 50 cents, a day's wages for some. A price I can't justify when every penny buys survival. Scurvy's a shadow over us all. A friend in Denver lost half his teeth by 35, his gums bleeding from a diet of salt, pork, and cornmeal, no vitamins to save him. You, grabbing an orange from a supermarket bin in Vancouver, can't imagine this hunger, this fear that every bite might not be enough to carry you through the day's toil. Every task here is a test, a relentless demand on body and mind, a challenge that makes your 9 to 5 in Toronto seem like a gentle breeze. Yesterday, I walked 5 miles to the stream, boots sinking into mud, the bucket's weight dragging at my shoulders until they burned, each step a battle against the rocky trail. The fence around our small plot needed fixing after a coyote tore through its tracks, fresh in the dirt, a reminder of the wild just beyond my door. I hammered nails each worth a penny into splintered wood, hands blistered by dusk, the pain a dull throb that followed me to bed. You might post about a tough workday online, maybe vent to a friend over coffee. Out here, the work doesn't stop, and neither does the fear. Every shadow could hide an outlaw. Every storm could bury us in snow. Every moment a reminder that survival is earned, not given. Sleep should be a sanctuary, a chance to recharge, but it's not. The mattress bites, the cold seeps through, and the night's noises keep you half awake, clutching hope like a lifeline against the dark. Yet, there's a strange, magnetic pull to this place, a mystery that hooks the heart even as it tests it. The sheer will to rise from that Flearden bed to face another day of toil and terror is a kind of alchemy, turning exhaustion into defiance. It's not the glory of your Western movies, with their quick-draw heroes and tidy endings, but a quieter courage forged in the dark, in the ache of muscles, in the stubborn refusal to break. I think of you, my friends across time, listening in your warm homes, your lives so distant from this dirt and danger. You're drawn to this story, aren't you? The enigma of a world so harsh, so raw, it makes your pulse race and your skin prickle. You want to know how we endured, what secrets kept us going, what drove us to stay when every night was a gamble. Stick with me. Let this tale unfold, and you'll find answers that'll linger long after you close your eyes, whispering in your dreams like the wind outside my cabin. If this glimpse into the Wild West's brutal beauty grabs you, hit that subscribe button. It fuels more stories like this, history that lulls you to sleep while sparking your mind. I stoke the fire, flames dancing, casting shadows on the rough-hewn walls. My wife, Eliza, stirs in the corner, her breath soft but steady, a reminder of why I keep fighting. The day's just beginning, and the frontier waits for no one. I pull on my coat, the fabric rough against my skin, and step toward the door, heart pounding with dread and defiance. This is the Wild West, not a legend, but a life, and I'm living it, one sleepless night at a time. The cold bites harder. As I push open the door, a coyote's howl echoing closer, maybe 150 yards away. The sky's turning pink, but its beauty's a lie. This land forgives no mistakes. I glance back at the cabin, logs weathered but standing, and feel a flicker of pride. We're not just surviving, we're building, fighting for a future with every aching step. You, listening in your safe world, might feel the weight of deadlines or bills. But out here, every day's a victory against odds you can't imagine. Follow me, and let's uncover the secrets of those who dared to call this brutal, beautiful place home. Hey there, history lovers in Chicago, Vancouver, Manchester, and beyond, aged 16 to 40, nestled under your cozy quilts, ready for a bedtime tale that'll grip your heart and stir your soul. Dim the lights until they're a faint flicker. Let a fan's gentle hum weave a soothing spell, and step with me into the raw, untamed Wild West of the 1870s. This isn't the glossy frontier of Hollywood, with its quick-draw heroes and romantic sunsets. No, this is a world of grit and shadow, where survival was a daily wager against hunger, danger, and a land that could swallow you whole. I'm your guide, standing in a dusty Denver yard, my breath steaming in the dawn's chill, my heart pounding with the weight of a life where every moment tests you, with miles, degrees, Fahrenheit, and dollars grounding this story in your world. I'll pull you into a mystery. How did we endure a place so brutal, where even community and hope came at a cost? Feel the sting of cold, the ache of hunger, the warmth of human connection, and a creeping dread that'll hook you from the first word, urging you to follow until the final star fades. The sun's just creeping over the Denver plains, a faint gold smear across a sky still heavy with night, but the air's already thick with dust that clings to my throat like a second skin. I step out of my creaky cabin, boots crunching on frost-dusted earth, and the smell hits like a fist-horse manure from the trail 30 feet away. Sharp and sour, mingling with the rotting stench of last week's garbage pile, a heap of potato peels and bones left for scavengers. My wife, Eliza, is already in the garden, her knees sunk in the stubborn Colorado dirt, hands clawing at potatoes that might keep us alive through winter's cruel grip. She's a marvel, a task that stretched into dusk, each jar a fragile shield against starvation. That barrel, costing $2 at the Cheyenne store, holds our hopes for when snow buries the trails 100 miles north, cutting us off from supplies. You, sipping tea in Manchester or grabbing a snack from a fridge in Vancouver, can't fathom the fear of an empty pantry in a land where a single storm could trap you for weeks. Hunger's my constant shadow, a gnawing ache that breakfast barely touches. I scoop beans onto a tin plate, maybe 400 calories, paired with a biscuit so hard it could chip a tooth, baked from flour that cost 50 cents a sack. Fresh fruits, a distant Dreaman orange at the general store costs 75 cents, more than a day's labor splitting firewood. A neighbor in Calgary told me his brother's gums bled until his teeth fell out dead by 35 from a diet of salt pork and cornmeal. You walk supermarket aisles, bins overflowing with apples and greens. We ration every bite, praying our crop of potatoes, each tuber the size of a child's fist, will last. I chew slowly, the beans heavy in my gut, knowing this meal must fuel hours of labor under a sun promising 100 degrees Fahrenheit by noon. The land's a beast, unforgiving and wild. Last month, a flash flood roared through the plains near Calgary, turning trails into rivers, drowning a family's cattle 2 miles from here. Their cries echoed, a haunting reminder of how fast this frontier can turn. Summer heat's brutal, soaking my shirt as I mend fences, the wood splintering under nails worth 10 cents each. Winter's worst blizzards drop 20 inches of snow overnight, sealing cabins like tombs. No weather apps here, no help within 50 miles. Last night, a wolf's howl 50 yards from our door jerked me awake, heart slamming. Eliza grabbed the rifle, her hands steady, eyes scanning the dark through our cracked window. We didn't sleep after, the silence alive with threats. You, in your climate-controlled homes in Toronto, might jump at a car alarm. I lie awake, wondering if the next sound will be claws or a thief. Loneliness cuts deeper than the cold, heavier than the 40-pound water buckets I haul 3 miles from the stream. Some nights we join neighbors for firelit storytelling, a ritual, binding us like thread through a quilt. Last week, old Tom, 3 miles away, told of crossing the Rockies, his voice breaking over a brother lost to fever. We sat, fire warming our faces, stories shielding us from isolation. My tale was simpler, fixing a fence under a blazing sun, hands blistered. It's not just talk, it's survival, reminding us we're human in an inhuman land. You, texting. Friends in Manchester share memes. We share courage, voices soft against the flames, each word a spark of hope. Last spring, I helped raise his 15 by 15-foot barn, 10 of us sweating through beams and nails worth a penny each. When a coyote tore my fence, he lent a hammer and 20 nails. When Eliza sickened, his wife Sarah walked 3 miles with stew, boots caked in mud. These acts, small in your world of apps, are our survival. The Cheyenne, pushed to Calgary reservations, haunt my thoughts. Buffalo, once millions, now fewer than 1,000, slaughtered to break them. I've traded with them, shared jerky, tasted their loss. My homestead rests on their stolen land, a gut-twisting truth. You, studying history in Chicago, read of progress. I live its cost, sleep uneasy with it. Yet there's beauty here, a pull that keeps me going. The plains whisper secrets older than us. I hoe the garden, soil fighting my blade, and think of Eliza's hands, steady packing jars for winter. Her cough lingers, but her eyes burn with fire. You, in safe homes, face deadlines. Here, every day's a victory, every jar a stand against the land's cruelty. The sun climbs, dust swirling, and I feel hope, raw and unyielding, that this brutal land can't snuff out. Hey there, history lovers in Chicago, Vancouver, Manchester, and beyond, aged 16 to 40, nestled in your cozy beds, ready for a bedtime tale that'll clutch your heart and haunt your dreams. Dim the lights until they're a mere flicker. Let a fan's gentle hum weave a soothing spell, and step with me into the brutal, beguiling Wild West of the 1870s. Forget Hollywood's polished cowboys and choreographed gunfights. This is the real frontier, a land of sweat, fear, and fleeting hope, where every day was a wager against death. I'm your guide, standing on a dusty Denver trail, my breath quickening as I face a world where danger lurks in every shadow. With miles, degrees, Fahrenheit, and dollars you'll recognize, I'll drag you into a mystery. How did we endure a place so merciless, where even courage came with a cost? Feel the jolt of a rickety wagon, the sting of a fever, the pulse of diverse lives colliding, and let this story hook you, shock you, and pull you toward secrets that'll linger like a distant howl. Stay with me, you curious souls in your safe homes, and follow this tale to its end, where the Wild West's raw truth will leave you awestruck and yearning for more. The sun's climbing over the Denver plains, its light harsh despite the morning chill, dust swirling around my boots as I hitch the wagon for a 20-mile trek to Cheyenne. The trail's a rutted mess, just 4 feet wide, each jolt of the wooden wheels jarring my bones like a hammer on stone. A broken axle could cost 50 pounds to fix, half a month's wages, and leave us stranded miles from help, easy prey for outlaws or the elements. Travel here's no adventure, it's a gamble, every mile a test of nerve. Last week, a friend's wagon sank in mud near Laramie, losing half his goods to a flash flood that turned the trail to a river. You, cruising highways in Chicago or Vancouver, can't fathom the dread of a snapped wheel or a spooked horse throwing you into the dirt miles from safety. The wagon creaks under flour sacks, nails, and a few precious candles each, a lifeline for winter when snow buries the 100-mile trail to Cheyenne, cutting us off from the world. My body's weary, not just from hauling 40-pound water buckets 3 miles yesterday, but from a fever that's clung to me for days, a low burn clouding my thoughts. I dosed myself with mercury last night, a 50-cent vial from the general store, hoping it'd help, but it's left me dizzy, hands trembling as I grip the reins. Medicine out here's a roll of the dice doctors. If you find one, might bleed you with a rusty lancet, or prescribe arsenic, more likely to kill than cure. Most are untrained, armed with potions and grim confidence. In Manchester, you'd head to a hospital with sterile tools and painkillers. Here, we rely on luck and prayers. The nearest doctor, 50 miles away. My wife, Eliza, is due to give birth soon, and the thought twists my gut. 1 in 100 women don't survive childbirth in these parts, delivering in cabins with only a midwife or neighbor, no anesthesia beyond whiskey. I've seen men weep, raising newborns alone after losing wives to fever or blood loss. You have prenatal care and clean rooms in Toronto. We have hope, thin as frost, and fear that every birth could be a farewell as the wagon rattles toward Cheyenne. The town's chaos emerges a sprawl of wooden shacks and dirt streets, nothing like Toronto's orderly grids. I pass Leeway, a Chinese miner, face-lined from panning icy streams for gold, earning $2 a day while dodging glares and worse from white settlers. He's one of many who built railroads across Wyoming, blasting tunnels with dynamite that could have buried him, yet faces hatred, taxed unfairly or driven from claims. Down the street, Maria, a Mexican rancher, haggles over cattle, her family's land stolen after the Mexican-American War through crooked laws. Her eyes are sharp, voice steady, but loss clings to her like dust. James, a black cowboy, rides by, one of 25% of cowhands keeping ranches alive, but ignored in tales back east. His nod hides prejudice I'll never know, his skill with a lasso, unmatched yet unseen. Their grit humbles me. They face the frontier's wrath, plus hostility I escape. You, walking diverse streets in Vancouver, see equality's progress. Here, diversity is a crucible, forging strength amid injustice. At night, I find solace in the stars, a ritual that steadies my heart. Lying on a blanket 10 feet from the cabin, I trace Orion and the Big Dipper, their light brighter than any city sky you've seen, a map for predicting weather or finding north. Last night, I studied their patterns, guessing if rain might spare our crops or a storm loom to bury us. It's more than survival light's peace, a connection to something vast that soothes the soul. You might stargaze with an app in Chicago. I do it to live, but the wonder's the same, a gift in a land that gives little. The stars remind me of the Cheyenne, navigating these plains by the same sky, their knowledge fading under broken treaties. Their loss weighs on me, my homestead rests on their stolen ground. Cheyenne buzzes with voices, German farmers, Irish laborers, Scandinavian trappers, but it's no haven. The saloon's a crude shack, not your Western's glamour, serving 25-cent rot-gut whiskey that could blind you, spiked with tobacco juice. Fights erupt over $5 debts, turning deadly in a heartbeat, not in tidy duels, but messy chaos. Last month, a man was knifed over cards, blood soaking the dirt. Violence isn't cinematic, it's sudden, brutal. I load my wagon with flour 50 cents a sack, and nails a penny each. Fever, making every step a struggle. You dodge crowded subways. I dodge fists and knives, heart pounding, in a town where tempers flare like tinder. Back home, I think of you, listening in warm homes. This frontier forges strength through quiet Axley ways, panning, Maria's bargaining, James's riding. It's a world where diversity clashes and thrives, where every face tells a story of grit. The day's heat hits 90 degrees Fahrenheit, sweat stinging. As I drive home, stars emerging above their glow, a promise I cling to. You face deadlines in air-conditioned apartments. Here, every mile traveled, every fever fought is a victory. Stay with me, history-hungry souls, and let this tale pull you deeper into a world where courage and community shield against a merciless land. Follow me to the end and uncover the secrets of those who called this brutal place home. Hey there, history lovers in Chicago, Vancouver, Manchester, and beyond, aged 16 to 40, tucked under your soft blankets, ready for a bedtime tale that'll seize your heart and linger in your dreams. Dim the lights until they're a faint glow. Let a fan's gentle hum weave a soothing spell, and step with me into the raw, unyielding Wild West of the 1870s. This isn't the Hollywood frontier with its dashing outlaws and sunlit showdowns. No, this is a world of dirt, danger, and quiet defiance, where every day was a desperate fight for survival, and even hope came with a heavy price. I'm your guide, standing in a dusty Denver cabin as dusk falls, my heart heavy with the weight of a life, where every moment tests the soul. With miles, degrees, Fahrenheit, and dollars you'll recognize. I'll pull you into a mystery. How did we endure a place so brutal, where isolation and loss shaped every choice? Feel the chill of loneliness, the spark of resilience, the ache of a world left behind, and let this story hook you, shock you, and draw you toward truths that'll echo like a distant star. Stay with me, you curious souls, in your cozy homes, and follow this journey to its end, where the Wild West's raw courage will leave you awestruck and craving more. The sun dips low over the Denver plains, casting long shadows that stretch across the dusty yard, like fingers reaching for the horizon. I trudge back to my cabin, the wagon's wheels creaking under a load of supplies from a 20-mile trek to Cheyenne, my body weary from a trail that jarred my bones with every rut. The air's cooling, but the cabin's still a chilly 15 degrees Fahrenheit inside, the kind of cold that seeps into your marrow, making every movement a fight. As I step through the door, the familiar smell hits in washed bodies, the faint reek of the outhouse 20 yards away, and the sour tang of last week's garbage pile 30 feet from the stable. My wife, Eliza, is by the fire, her hands steady as she stirs a pot of beans, her cough a dry rasp that's lingered too long, a quiet warning of scurvy or worse. The day's weight settles over me, not just from the labor hauling 40-pound buckets 3 miles from the stream, mending fences with 10-cent nails, but from a deeper ache, a loneliness that cuts sharper than the frost. You, curled up in your 70 degrees Fahrenheit apartment in Chicago, with Wi-Fi and instant messages, can't imagine the silence that presses in here. A silence so heavy it feels like a living thing, threatening to swallow you whole. I sit by the fire, its faint glow casting jagged shadows on the log walls, and pull out a letter I started for my sister in Liverpool. Each word scratched in the dim light of a tallow candle I crafted last week. That candle, worth 10 cents, was a labor of hours rendering fat. The smell sour and thick, my hands slick with grease, but its fragile light is all I have against the dark. The letter, costing 25 cents to send, will take months to reach her. If it arrives at all, each line a fragile tether to a world I may never see again. I write of the plains, the coyote howls 200 yards off that wake us, the fear of Eliza's cough, but the words feel hollow, unable to capture the isolation that gnaws at my bones. Some nights, it's more than loneliness, it's a creeping dread, what they call prairie madness, a shadow that's driven neighbors to flee east or, worse, turn inward until they break. A man down the trail last year walked into the snow and never returned, his mind shattered by the endless quiet. You, texting friends in Vancouver or Manchester, can't fathom a life where a letter is your only link to family, where weeks pass without another voice beyond the wind's howl to fight that darkness. I've taken to carving wooden tools in these winter evenings, a ritual that anchors me. Last night, I shaped a 2-pound oak mallet by candlelight, the knife's rhythm steadying my hands, each shaving a small act of creation against the void. The wood's grain, rough under my fingers, feels like a conversation with the land, a way to claim something from its harshness. It's not just practical, though the mallet will help mend fences come spring knits, a lifeline, a way to feel. human when the silence threatens to erase you. You might stream a show in Toronto to unwind. The screens glow a comfort. I carve. The knives scrape a quiet defiance, a reminder that I'm still here. But the loneliness lingers, heavier than the 100 pounds of firewood I split yesterday. Each swing of the 10-pound axe jarring my aching arms. My back's hunched, hands calloused like leather, though I'm barely 30. A body worn by a land that spares no one. The frontier's not just a place, it's a mirror, reflecting truths we can't escape. The Homestead Act of 1862 gave me these 160 acres, a chance to build a life, but at a cost. The Cheyenne, whose plains stretch beyond my cabin, were pushed to reservations near Calgary. Their buffalo herds, once millions strong, now fewer than 1,000, slaughtered to break their way of life. I've traded with them, shared their jerky, tasted the bitterness of their displacement in every bite. Their silhouettes in the dusk, proud but haunted, carry centuries of grief. Their lands taken by treaties, broken in the 1860s. My dream of a homestead rests on their stolen ground, a truth that twists my gut like a blade. You, studying history in Chicago or Vancouver, might read of manifest destiny in textbooks, a tidy phrase for progress. I live its cost, my sleep uneasy, with the knowledge that my hope is built on their despair. Yet, there's a strange beauty here, a pull that keeps me going. The stars tonight are a blazing tapestry, untouched by the light pollution in Manchester. Their glow a bridge across time. Lying on a blanket 10 feet from the cabin, I trace the Milky Way. Orion, the Big Dipper, their light a guide for predicting weather or finding north, a ritual that steadies my heart. Last night, I watched them, wondering if rain might spare our crops or a storm loom to bury us. It's more than survival. It's a moment of wonder, a connection to the Cheyenne, to my ancestors, to you. Gazing at the same sky centuries later. You might stargaze with an app, pinpointing constellations. I do it to live, but the awe is the same, a fleeting gift in a land that gives little. The stars remind me of Eliza's eyes, tired but fierce, as she packs jars of pickled vegetables, each one a defiance of winter's hunger. Her hands raw from the $2 vinegar barrels brine. The frontier's legacy is more than the systems we built, flawed but enduring. The property laws that gave me this land, the water rights we fought for, the railroads snaking through Cheyenne, they shape your world, from your home's deeds to the dams feeding your cities. But the myths, those Wild West shows by Buffalo Bill, spun tales of heroes that hid the real story. Ordinary folks like me and Eliza, grinding through days of toil and fear. Those dime novels you might have read painted a west of glory, not the quiet courage of carving a mallet or surviving a 15 degrees Fahrenheit night. The real West is in these Axeliza's steady hands. The letter I'll send, the mallet I'll use, a testament to resilience forged in hardship. As I crawl into bed, the straw mattress scratching my skin, I think of you, listening in your warm homes. This life at she beds, bitter coffee, endless toil would break most folks today. But it's taught me resilience, the kind that built the West through stubborn, quiet acts. The stars outside blaze, connecting me to those who came before. To you, you face deadlines in air-conditioned apartments. Here, every day's a victory. Stay with me, history-hungry souls, and let this tale pull you deeper into a world where every night was a gamble and every morning a miracle. Follow me to the end and uncover the secrets of those who called this brutal place home. Hey there, history lovers in Chicago, Vancouver, Manchester, and beyond, aged 16 to 40, curled up for a bedtime tale that's as raw as it is riveting. This is the story of me, a settler in the 1870s Wild West, waking in a Denver cabin to face a day where survival hung by a thread. Over 6,000 words, I'll weave together the gritty details of my journey, drawn from the vivid, unromanticized frontier of boring history for sleep, why you wouldn't survive a day in the Wild West. This isn't Hollywood's polished West with its quick-draw duels and heroic cowboys. It's a world of dirt, danger, and quiet courage, where every choice, whether to stoke the fire or brave a 20-mile trek'd mean life or death. Using miles, degrees, Fahrenheit, and dollars familiar to you, I'll take you through my day. From dawn's icy grip to dusk's fleeting peace, revealing the challenges, connections, and resilience that defined the frontier. At the end, I'll share a profound lesson from this brutal yet inspiring world and invite you to reflect on its meaning in your modern lives. So, settle in, let the fans hum, lull you, and follow me into a day that'll leave you awestruck and curious for more. The morning begins with a jolt, my eyes snapping open in a 12 by 12-foot Denver cabin, the air biting at 15 degrees Fahrenheit, my breath curling like smoke in the pre-dawn gloom. It's the 1870s, and I'm sprawled on a 4-inch thick mattress stuffed with brittle corn husks, each shift jabbing my ribs like a dull blade. Fleas skitter across my skin, their bites a burning itch that's as constant as my heartbeat. A settler's words echo in my mind, bugs so thick you could sweep 'em up with a broom. You, nestled in your 12-inch memory foam bed in Chicago, thermostat at 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Can't imagine a sleep so restless, where the bed itself is an adversary. The smell hits next, a rancid wave of unwashed bodies, mine included, since baths are a monthly luxury. Horse dung from the stable 50 feet away, and the sour stench of the outhouse 20 yards off. Water's scarce, hauled in 5-gallon buckets, each weighing 40 pounds, from a stream 3 miles down a rocky trail. Yesterday's trek left, my shoulders screaming, my boots caked in mud. You, grabbing a bottle from a fridge in Vancouver, wouldn't dream of choosing between drinking and washing. But here, it's a daily dilemma. My muscles ache, a deep grinding pain from yesterday's 14-hour grinds, plitting 100 pounds of firewood with a 10-pound axe, each swing rattling my bones, or dragging a 60-pound iron plow through Colorado's stubborn soil. My back's hunched, my hands calloused like leather, though I'm barely 30. Your gym sessions in Manchester are a choice, my labor's a necessity, with no rest days, no ergonomic tools, just a body pushed to its breaking point. I roll off the mattress, my bare feet hitting the dirt floor, cold as stone, and glance at the fireplace's gray embers. I let it die overnight. To save wood, a cord costs $5, enough for a week's flour. In Toronto, you'd flick a switch for heat. Here, I weigh warmth against the risk of a spark burning this shack to ash, with no fire department within 50 miles. A coyote's howl, maybe 200 yards off, sends a shiver down my spine. I shake out my boots, recalling a Cheyenne neighbor's tale of a rattlesnake coiled in his shoe, its bite nearly fatal. Sleep here isn't rest, it's a gamble, ears straining for wolves, bears, or outlaws in the dark. Sleep follows a strange rhythm, not your single stretch, but biphasic, a first sleep of 3 to 4 hours after dusk, a wakeful hour, then a second sleep until dawn. Last night, I spent that middle hour by a tallow candle's flicker, its greasy glow barely lighting my hands as I mended a torn shirt. Crafting that candle rendering fat over hours, the smell sour. Each one worth 10 cents was a labor of patience, its flame a fragile guard against the dark. A stray spark could have ignited the cabin, but I stitched on, my needle-clumsy ears pricked for any snap outside. You might scroll your phone at midnight. I worked in near darkness, heart pounding at every creak. Breakfast pulls me to the present. Beans, 400 calories, with a biscuit hard as rock, and coffee bitter as regret, brewed from 25-cent grounds. An apple costs 50 cents at the store, a day's wages, and scurvy's a real threat. A Denver friend lost half his teeth by 35, gums bleeding from a diet of salt pork. You, sipping a latte in Chicago, can't imagine this hunger, this fear that every bite might not be enough. I step outside, the sun creeping over the Denver plains, dust swirling in the air. The smell hits again, manure from the trail 30 feet away, rotting scraps from last week's garbage. My wife, Eliza, kneels in the garden, her hands buried in dirt, coaxing potatoes that could save us from winter's starvation. She spent 6 hours yesterday pickling vegetables in a 5-gallon vinegar barrel, her fingers raw from the brine. Each jar a bulwark against the snows that'll block the 100-mile trail to Cheyenne. Fresh fruits, a dream, an orange costs 75 cents. More than a day's labor. Eliza's cough worries me, a dry rasp hinting at scurvy or worse. You walk supermarket aisles in Vancouver, we ration every bite, praying our crop survives drought or flood. Last month, a flash flood near Calgary swept away a neighbor's cattle 2 miles off, their cries echoing in my nightmares. Summer heat hits 100 degrees Fahrenheit, soaking my shirt as I mend fences. Winter blizzards drop 20 inches of snow, trapping us in cabins with no help for miles. A wolf's howl last night, 50 yards away, woke us, Eliza's hands steady on the rifle as we scanned the dark. Your power outages are inconveniences. Our nights are alive with threats. The land's not the only for loneliness cuts deeper. Some nights we join neighbors for storytelling by firelight, a ritual that stitches our community together. Old Tom, 3 miles away, shared a tale of crossing the Rockies, his voice breaking over a lost brother. We sat, the fire's glow warming our faces, our stories a shield against isolation. You, texting friends in Manchester, share memes, we share courage, our words a lifeline in a land that feels inhuman. Tom's my rock last spring. I helped him raise a 15 by 15-foot barn, 10 of us sweating through beams and nails worth 10 cents each. When a coyote tore my fence, he lent me his hammer and 20 nails. When Eliza was sick, his wife, Sarah, walked 3 miles with Stu. These acts, small in your world of apps, are our survival. The Cheyenne pushed to reservations near Calgary, haunt my thoughts there, Buffalo, once millions, now fewer than 1,000, slaughtered to break them. I've traded with them, shared their jerky, felt their loss. My homestead rests on their stolen land, a truth that twists my gut. I hitched the wagon for a 20-mile trek to Cheyenne, the trail's ruts jarring my bones. A broken axle, costing 50 pounds to fix, could strand us miles from help. Travel's no adventure, it's a risk. A friend's wagon sank in mud near Laramie, losing half his goods. My fever lingers, treated with 50-cent mercury that leaves me dizzy. Medicine, here's a gamble doctors, might bleed you or prescribe arsenic, more poison than cure. Eliza's due soon, and childbirth's a specter. 1 in 100 women die, delivering in cabins with only a midwife. You have hospitals in Toronto, we have prayers. In Cheyenne, I see Li Wei, a Chinese miner, panning streams for $2 a day, hands cracked, facing hatred. Maria, a Mexican rancher, sells cattle, her family's land, stolen post-war. James, a black cowboy, rides by, one of 25% of cowhands, ignored in stories. Their grit humbles me, they face the frontier's wrath, plus prejudice I'll never know. At night, I stargaze, tracing Orion and the Big Dipper, their light a guide for weather or travel. Lying 10 feet from the cabin, I find peace in their glow, a contrast to your app-guided skies in Chicago. The town's alive, with voices: German farmers, Irish laborers, Scandinavian trappers, but it's no haven. Saloon fights over $5 debts turn deadly, fueled by 25-cent rotgut whiskey. Violence isn't cinematic, it's messy, sudden. Back home, I carve a 2-pound oak mallet by candlelight, a winter ritual to fight loneliness. Letters to my sister in Liverpool, 25 cents a stamp, take months. And prairie madness looms, some neighbors break, fleeing east or worse. The Homestead Act gave me 160 acres, but at the cost of Cheyenne lives, their culture crushed. The stars, untouched by your city lights, connect me to them, to you, across time. As dusk falls, I reflect on this day's weight. The frontier's a crucible, forging resilience in those who endure, not through gunfights, but through quiet Eliza's pickling, Tom's hammer, my carved mallet. You, in your 70 degrees Fahrenheit homes, might feel deadline's pressure, but here, every dawn's a triumph. The myths Buffalo Bills shows, dime novels, hide this truth. Ordinary folks like me, Eliza, Li Wei, Maria, and James, built the West with stubborn courage. Their legacy shapes your world: land laws, water rights, railroads. As I lie under the stars, their brilliance a fleeting gift, I feel their strength, their loss, and a fierce hope that carries me to tomorrow. The Wild West taught me a profound truth: resilience is born, not in comfort, but in the crucible of hardship, where every choice, however small, builds a life. My day was a relentless test, a flea-ridden bed, hunger's ache, the land's threats, and loneliness' weight. Yet, it was in these struggles, mending a shirt by candlelight, sharing stories with Tom, carving a mallet, that I found meaning. The frontier showed that resilience isn't just surviving, it's finding purpose in the grind, forging connections despite isolation, and choosing hope when despair looms. This wasn't about heroic deeds, but quiet, stubborn persistence, a courage shared by settlers, Cheyenne, Chinese miners, and black cowboys alike. For you, In your 2025 lives of smartphones and deadlines, this lesson is a beacon. Your challenges work. Stress, financial strain, or personal doubts may feel overwhelming, but they're not the frontiers, wolves, or blizzards. Apply this resilience by embracing small, intentional acts. Pause to connect with a friend, like our fireside tales. Tackle a task, like my carving, to ground yourself. Or face a fear, like I faced the dark, with steady defiance. Recognize that your struggles, like mine, are chances to build strength. Find community, whether in a text or a coffee shop, to fight isolation. Choose purpose over ease, and let every hard-won day remind you of your own grit. The frontiers. Legacy isn't just history, it's a call to endure, to create, to thrive, no matter the odds. What do you think, history lovers? Does this tale of the Wild West's raw struggle stir you? Maybe it's the shock of a flea-bitten bed, the awe of surviving 15 degrees Fahrenheit nights, or the pang of the Cheyenne's lost share. Your thoughts in the comments. How does this resilience speak to your life? Perhaps you've faced your own frontier, a tough job, a personal loss, or a moment of doubt. Drop a note with your city: Chicago, Vancouver, Manchester, and let us know what hooked you. Your stories build a community, like our firelit nights, connecting us across time. I'm reading every comment, inspired by your reflections, and I'd love to see this tale spark new ideas for facing your challenges with frontier grit. If this journey into the Wild West's heart has gripped you, hit that subscribe button. It fuels more stories like this, history that lulls you to sleep while igniting your mind. Your support keeps this channel alive, bringing the past's lessons to light for all of us. So, share your thoughts, subscribe, and let's keep exploring the raw, beautiful truths of history together. Sleep tight and dream of a world where every day was a victory.